first thing you're letting the JTAG know, or the aircraft know, is if it's type 1, 2, or 3, which is basically type 1 is preferable, where you're going to be able to see the aircraft and the target the entire time. And then types 2 and types 3 are variations of each other, where you're either you can't see the aircraft on approach, or you don't have a visual of the target, and so you're just basically letting the aircraft know that you can't see one of those two things, so there's some information you're not going to be able to provide him during the attack run.
Hold on, writing it down. So type 2 is when you can see the aircraft, and type 3 is when you can see the target.
No, type 1, you can see the aircraft and target, and then if it's type 2 or type 3, you have reduced visibility. You either won't be able to see the aircraft or you can't see. So type 2 requires control of individual attacks, and any or all conditions exist. JTAC is unable to visually acquire the attacking aircraft on weapons release, or JTAC is unable to visually acquire the target, and or attacking aircraft is unable to acquire mark target prior to weapons released. Type 3, same deal. JTAC is unable to visually acquire the attacking aircraft at weapons release, or JTAC is unable to. So type 2 is like for a single attack, and then type 3 is the same thing, but for multiple attacks is what I think.
Copy that,
Yes.
writing it down.
Yes.
Right, that's first line, right?
So that's not even one of the lines. That's just what you open up your dialogue with the CAS aircraft. Then line number 1, which you don't say like the line numbers, you'll just say IP, or so IP is initial point, or also BP battle point means the same thing. So you just say IP or BP Bravo, whatever the call sign is. You've given it some kind of designation, and you're going to want to mark it on the map so that the pilot can see what you're talking about. And the purpose of the IP is basically like that's like the pilot's starting point for the attack. Like that's where you want them to initiate the attack from. And so you usually want to pick a spot that's a good distance out, that's going to give them like a good run up to the target. And you also want to set it up so that like their approach to the target from the initial point like keeps friendly forces out of like the line of fire. So you wouldn't want to set like the lineup where you guys are going to be like where friendlies are going to be right in the back or the backstop of the gun run.
Basically IP or BP in case of, let's say we have in a guns run, IP or BP is the start at which the pilots will start, the guns, and then you have an end point at which they will end. Make sense?
Not quite. Here, are you looking at the map right now?
Yeah.
All right, so let's say I'll just put some markers down.
Mark them in red so that,
Yep.
I can really see them.
So you see where I put tank over by the bombing range?
Copy. So in this instance, tank is going to be IP, right?
No, that'll be the target. I'll go through everything.
Copy that. Basically, you're using IP and BP as a way to designate the direction in which the craft should be doing the attack, right?
Yes.
Also, Nick, can you tell me you're recording this?
Yes.
Thank you. That way I can just always come back to it and take a look at it again if I forget it. I like to, really work on my stuff so I can remember it.
Yeah, and probably cut it together like one room clearing tactics, one J tag, and so on and so forth, so that we basically have that on the channel as well. That's also basically a good example of what kind of training we're doing, and also as
It's
an
actually
example.
good. It's actually a good training archive. We could just send our recruits to watch a couple of videos. Like I
Yeah,
don't know
no,
if
it's
you want.
it's boring if you just do that, but you can send them that over if they are really dedicated to learn the shit.
All right. So you looking at the map still?
Yeah.
All right. So
What is egress?
egress. So that's going to be like the direction that they need to leave after the engagement,
Copy.
and I'll explain why that's important. So you see IP alpha.
That's negative.
It's like far east.
Copy. I see it.
Okay, so yeah, you want to give them a good distance so that they can kind of they have time to react and get eyes on the target and set up appropriately. So you let them know
What's a good distance? 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers?
it depends on the aircraft. So a helicopter, you can set the IP up closer. If it's a jet that's going to be going a lot faster, you want to set it farther away. I would say probably with a jet, you can set it out like 10 kilometers and be fine. Helicopter,
Copy.
you could probably cut that in half to 5.
Copy that.
All right, so you're gonna.
One more thing.
Yep.
I never actually figured out how much distance is 1 square on the grid in Arma.
Necky knows.
Yeah, it's one. So if you scroll out completely, it's 10 kilometers. So 10 square kilometers. If you then zoom in a bit further, it's 1 kilometer, and the tiniest size you can get is 100 square meters. So it's
That's
all
for
nice
tank
and
at the
metric.
moment.
So yeah, it's about 20
Those
kilometers distance.
no,
Between
those
that.
are. Wait.
Right? Am I thinking that right?
No, those are
Between
two
IP and target?
kilometers. 2 kilometers between tank and RP Alpha. About that.
Okay, I see. Way
Yeah,
to
and
the
two
right.
kilometers are actually fine for a helicopter if you don't have a Tigris or something that can shoot them down. Because a Tigris can basically fuck over all of Malden.
So yeah, so you'd want that.
Got it written down. Ready for
Yeah.
next.
Okay, so boom, you're gonna be like. So you'd be like. Whatever. So let's say the call sign for the aircraft is Rebel.
Let's say Phantom 2.
All right, so Phantom 2, this is Phantom 1, Type 1 in effect. Advise when ready for 9 line, or stand by for 9 line. He'll say Raj. Send it. Then you're going to be like, IP, Alpha, break. Then you're going to read him. So you've given him the IP, and then you're going to need to give him the bearing. So the direction he needs to head from the IP to head towards the target, which in this case, we're looking at probably
260, I'd
270.
say. Yeah,
260,
270.
270. So, IP alpha break 270, and then you're gonna want to give him if he needs to favor left or right. So we're gonna say he needs to favor right. So 270 offset right, and the reason we want him to offset right is he's going to egress north, and we've got an AA emplacement that he wants to avoid on the left-hand side. So that's kind of the things you're looking at. Like if there's a terrain.
So favor is always towards the exit, right?
Yes, unless you've got some issue like a terrain. You're basically trying to like help him navigate terrain or possible air threats, or like ground like AAA or SAM emplacements, stuff like that.
Got
Then
that.
you're gonna distance from IP to the target. So in kilometers. So 2 kilometers. Target elevation. You need one of those watches to kind of get you an idea. But it's basically if it's at night or fog, that way he doesn't plow his airplane into the ground trying to blow the tank up. Target description is just super simple. So tank or truck or squad of enemy troops. You don't need to be like T-72 with this color paint, all this other shit. You don't need all that. And then target location is just the 6-digit grid, which in this case is going to be 119 or 17 Fowler.
Writing down.
So you give them that. Marker type is going to be however you're designating that target. So with smoke, laser, it can either be with the laser designator or just the laser on your weapon if it's got enough range. IR grenade, or you can do what's called a talk-on, where you're basically just going to use landmarks to guide the aircraft onto the target.
Say again, attack on?
Talk-on. Like you're going to
How
talk
is it
him.
written? Spell it.
Tango, Alpha, Lima, Kilo. Talk. Like you're going to talk him through the...
Copy that.
Basically
Got
giving
it.
him directions. So you'd be like, call contact with the road running south, going frickin' southeast or southwest with the T intersection. And then he'd be like, contact intersection. Cool. And you'd be like, call contact with the patch
So
of
in
trees.
this instance, for example, if I do talk on, I'd say tank south of dirt road.
You could do that. You kind of basically want to... You kind of want to like give them like a breadcrumb trail of landmarks that lead to the target. So this is the kind of stuff you want to look like if there's like a house or something, and then you kind of just like talk them, and then the pod's like, "Yep, I see that." And you're like, "Okay, cool. Do you see this?" "Yep, I see that." "Okay, boom." And like, "Okay, do you see the tank?" And you'd be like, "Okay, I see the tank." And you'd be like, "The tank is your target." And then you can engage, and then you're gonna let the pilot know the location of friendlies. So you can just say friendly southwest, and then you're going to say egress, in this case north, or whatever direction. And again, we're telling him to egress north because we've got an AA emplacement south of the target, and we want to make sure he flies away from the AA emplacement after he breaks off from his attack run.
Another question. I seem to have only two grid mode. Only
If you
two
scroll
grid
in further.
modes. Oh, it's just that I didn't see the 10-kilometer grid because I had to like scroll out completely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I got it. Okay, next.
That's it. That's all 9 lines.
So basically line 1 IP designation.
Yep.
Line 2 bearing and favor.
Yep.
Line 3 is distance to target and elevation.
Line 4 is elevation, but line 3 is,
Okay.
yes, distance from the IP to the target.
Line 5 target description.
Yes.
Line 6 target grid.
Yes.
Line 7 mark type smoke, laser, or talk on.
Yep.
Line 7 and 9, 7, 8, and 9 is clarify that for me, please.
7 is the marker type. 8 is the location of friendly forces. And 9 is the cardinal direction of egress, or the way you want the aircraft to fly away after he finishes the attack.
Okay, so between each line, always a break, right?
Yes, it's just to let him know that you're going to the next line.
Okay, I'll break down all the lines once more so that I can really write it down correctly. Line 1, IPBP.
Yes.
Line 2, bearing and favor.
Yes.
Writing. Line 3, distance to target.
Correct.
Line 4, target elevation.
Yes.
Line 5, target description.
Yes.
Line 6, target grid.
Yep.
Line 7, mark type.
Yes.
Line 8, friendly position.
Yep.
And finally, line 9, egress position.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we have the read back and repeat procedures, right?
Yeah, then the pilot will read lines 4 and 6 back to you. And that's along with any other restrictions.
So, just a couple of questions. First, line 8, friend position, that's supposed to be in grid, and line 9 too, right?
You could give it as a grid, but you could easily just say south. And then you want to say, like, how far away from the target. So 500 meters south, or 2 kilometers south, or east, or whatever. It's basically just letting the pilot know that you guys aren't going to wind up in, like, if he overshoots or falls short, or you're not too close for whatever ordnance he's going to drop, that you guys are going to get blown up as well.
Line 1 is also in grid, right?
Line 1 is just a call sign.
Copy that. Alright, wanna try to receive a 9 line from me?
Sure.
Okay, call sign, my call sign Phantom 1, your call sign Phantom 2. Works for you?
Okay.
Phantom 2, Phantom 1.
Go.
Calling CAS type 3, type 2.
Roger. Send 9 line when ready.
Line 1, IPBP Alpha, break. Line 2, bearing 270, break.
You don't need to say the line numbers.
Distance to targets approximately 2 kilometer break. Target elevation approximately 60 meters break. Target description tank break. Target grid 011017 break. Mark type Tolkien break. Friendly position FOB break. Aggress position north of target break. Over.
Phantom 1, Phantom 2. I read back. Target elevation
Phantom 2
6.
sent.
Roger, I read back. Target elevation 60 meters. Break. Target location 011017. Type 2 in effect. And then you just need to let me know if readback was correct or not.
Cup. Phantom 2, Phantom 1. Location incorrect. Adjust north and east. Approximately 100 meters.
Resend grid. No, I didn't. I just wrote that as a note. I didn't put that where I thought it was.
Resending grid. Grids 119174. Just to make sure, I'm a little bit drunk and probably forgetting something, but bottom grid first, left grid second, right?
So across the top or bottom and inside, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Retransmit grid.
Transmitting grids 119174.
I copy 119er 17 forward. Yep.
And at this point, basically, CAS hits aircraft, right? I mean, hits target.
Well, then you just give him all the information, and then he's gonna let you know when he'll be like IP inbound, which is basically so he's reached the IP and he's headed to the target, and then he'll say target acquired or tally on the tank or whatever the fucking jargon he wants to use, and then you just need to say let him know he's good to shoot, so you can push when ready, cleared hot, whatever the terminologies you want to use, and then he'll be like Roger, cleared hot, and then he'll fucking drop bombs.
Sounds about right. I'll need some practice to get it right, but that's a good start.
Yeah.
The
third SFG dudes are pretty good with this shit.
Yeah, the thing is, when Smith and I did it the first time, I felt like a baby learning his first words.
Yeah.
I'll Google for 5-liners because, as Marco said, when you're under fire, I mean, 9-line is pretty precise, but when you're under fire, I'd like to be as quick as possible, and if 5-line is quicker, that's what I want to do.